It is August 7th, garden tour. Welcome. Well, I had a ricotta. It just hasn't been producing anything. Kind of looks nice, but I think maybe I'll overwinter that and hope that maybe next year I'll get some. And I got this row of habaneros here. I mean, everything's chinense. I have some pods. It's really, these ones are like starting to take off here, but maybe there might be a pepper or two under, but I mean, it really depends on the variety, because some of them will just start setting fruit long before other ones, and then towards the end, some of these plants, the ones that were slow to start will catch up and then match in the amount of productivity. That's how it was last year. I got some really weird shapes on some of these peppers, but this one came from a pepper that was shaped like a UFO. So I labeled it as UFO, and for some reason I'm getting some really weird phenotypes on these. And, I mean, I don't think any of these really look like a UFO. Maybe this one a little. I mean, and if they're really not fruiting right now, they're starting to. This one is what I believe is a Tabasco mixed with a ghost pepper. It was labeled as ghost. Last year I kind of had a hard time with my ghost. It died, so I had to take a cutting off of it and dip it in water, and it had a pepper on it, and I waited until the pepper was all ripe, and then I harvested the seeds, and that's what I got out of it. I do have another one that was successful, but it is not showing the traits of the Tabasco. Like all of these, I mean, they look sideways now, but before they weighed a lot, they all started upright just like this. And just, I mean, you can see this one's long, and I'll show you a Tabasco so you can see what you think. It has pretty similar flowers and long calyx stem. Here I got some Trinidad Scorpions. I got them labeled as Trinidad Scorpion 1, and I got a 2 because they were both harvested from different peppers, and they're definitely showing some different phenotypes. This is the typical Trinidad Scorpion on these, but most of them on this plant have been typical like they should. It's a really nice one here, but sometimes they come out like this. But I've got another plant I'll show you in a moment that is totally different, and I think it might be a cross, or it's just an odd phenotype. Sawyer's got some tomatoes here. I mean, this sun's really beat these things up, and they're really hard to water these pots out here. And a lot of Tabascos. Another little, this is the tomato that had like a potato leaf on it and stuff, and it was really just an experiment, but that did not go very good. And down here I got, this is like another Tabasco, a certain phenotype. It's not getting the most sun back there, but it is growing. And then I've got, this was supposed to be a regular habanero, but this seed batch has been showing some color phenotype differences. I've got a peach color coming out that you can tell when it's not ripe that it's really bright green compared to like these ones over here. They're kind of a darker green. Now these particular habaneros, I sourced the seeds from a Brits farmers market. That's where I try to get a lot of my new varieties, from like farmers markets sometimes. But these were supposed to be red, and they are, sure looks like it's coming out to be red here. But the funny thing with these is they haven't had any heat at all, so I'm kind of happy with that. And the only thing you taste is that kind of the tangy habanero flavor that you get when you first bite one, but then when you're waiting for that capsaicin to take hold. It just never comes. So I've got one plant from that seed batch here that's showing with some larger size pods and with 0 heat. Now, we've eaten like 6 of them. And I've got another one in the back garden that's pumping out some kind of smaller ones, but it is working. So I'm gonna save them seeds. Tabasco tomatoes, honestly I don't think this is the best year for it. And this Campbell's tomato thing, these things are tiny. I mean, it is what it is. I think when I changed the ratio of fungal to bacteria ratio, it favored my peppers a lot more, because when I review the older videos, it looks like last year the tomatoes won on the race, and peppers they were getting there, but you know, things could be better sometimes, and changing that soil ratio is a great way to do it. So moving on around, these are all like Campbell's, grafted. I got Better Boy, grafted. Like pretty much all this tall section here is all grafted. Got some more stuff. Let's see, try to get a wider view of this. This thing is just, everything's growing so well, and I must add that at no point have I ever added any fertilizer to anything in here. I have very little, if at none, problems with insects. The only problems with insects I get is sometimes these ants, they'll farm aphids. Let me see if I can find any here. I'm not really. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you'll be able to see this at all. But these ants, they'll climb up and down the stalk, and they'll take care of these aphids, and then they'll suck honeydew from their butts as a food source, because it's like sugar. But Haloshido projects are doing good. These are the mix between a shishito and a jalapeno. They're doing really good. They got a lot thicker wall on the pepper than a shishito. Sometimes, I mean, every now and then they're showing these rounded ends with like a butt shape, but kind of what I'm going for is more like that here, where it's just, you know, kind of comes to a point. But they're hot like a jalapeno, but they have a great sweet taste like the shishito from the get-go when you eat it. So, and I got all different varieties in here. You can see just by the shapes of the leaves and the colors how differently they can grow. Now, some would consider this a monoculture, but I think I have a lot more diverse group of different varieties, just like the United States with our people. Diversity is good. Those are the German, that's my German variety I got from my mom. Those are really starting to set on. The ants like to farm on those ones for some reason. Maybe they are a little sweeter. Oh, and if you notice some of these bags here are either so that I can get some pure genetics from these peppers, because when bees land on one flower and then go to another, they can carry the pollen from one variety to the next, and then what you think is going to be pure genetics from that variety, you now have a cross, which is cool sometimes. But if you like the way the plant grows and you want to have the same type of plant, same peppers the next year, all you really need to do is put this netting and try to prevent any type of bug or insect. Yeah, that's the same thing, I guess. Any type of bug out of here. Because there's a lot of different type of pollinators. Like everybody knows bees are pollinators, but I think I can contribute a lot of my pollination being done with ants, because they like sweet nectar too. and then they go to the next flower on the next plant, or I mean even just pollinating in general, like getting the pollen onto the stamen on the anther, from the anther. The ants moving around in there really kind of shake that pollen down and do the work for me. But every now and then I'll go in, and when I want to try to make sure things are getting pollinated, I'll just take my hand and I'll find the main stem, and I'll just give it some taps. What that does is it brings the pollen out off of the male part of the plant, and it sprinkles it onto the female part of the plant that has a sticky end on it. So I know I'm missing a bunch of stuff, but there's some cool purple ones that they go through kind of a cool ripening phase. They go from this dark purple to like that one and there, and then they turn like orange and red. But this is the purple UFO. So is this, but I'm getting a phenotype with no UFO shape. But these ones, they're a little closer to UFO. And these ones kind of looks like a UFO. And I got some Bishop's Crown. Got that pepper has a bunch of different names like Christmas Bell, all kinds of stuff, but I'll just stick with the Bishop's Crown. This whole row is kind of mixed up with the Halashitos. I've got totally different sizes coming from the different peppers. Like, I'll do my point thing here. Like, we got Shishitos there, but then this one's really tall. These two are from the same. Those are really short. This one ended up a lot taller. That one was taller, but what it was bred with was one of these plants, and they're pretty short. I mean, that's as tall as that one gets, and comparable to like these short ones. I'd say that's where it's finding its genetics, is from the Shishito with that particular. This is F2 that I'm growing out so that I can get stabilized variety. More stuff in here. We got, this is like a Mexibel. The ants farmed a lot on this, and it kind of destroyed the plant a little, but I mean, it's vigorous and it will come back. More stuff in here. I mean, a lot of things are gonna ripen. There's like an orange lunchbox pepper back there somewhere. Got some flat pearl peppers here. And then this Ahi Rico back here is doing really well. It's coming out with a kind of a larger pod size than typical. And this Ahi Rico, for a different pepper, is grafted onto a Shishito, but it's still growing large, but not as large as the normal Ahi Rico. And it's got some really weird shaped peppers. Speaking of weird shaped peppers, I don't know if you guys have ever seen anything like this. It's a single pepper. Must have had 2 female parts on it, but it's really weird. It's got 2 peppers growing out of one. It's kind of soft. What's up with that? Maybe this plant needs water. I don't know. Let's see. Let me just pull this away a little. It feels moisture, but it's definitely dry. We haven't been getting any rain. Okay. Got some. This was a mystery. I think it's a lunchbox. We'll find out soon. This is an Ahi Rico clone. Mother plants are in the back. They were overwintered. That's how I got the clones from them. And then this plant, this is what I think is either an odd phenotype of a Trinidad Scorpion, or I mean, this is kind of scorpion-like here. But I think this thing is mixed with a Reaper. I really do. Because it's got a little rougher skin, and then it's just not showing that one phenotype. but it's loaded down. It's got a lot. This is my ornamental pot right here. Alright, there's a bunch of cool stuff on here, and there's way too much to go over. Oh, forgot to show you something. I mean, this is the cool fish pepper, and they start off with some striping and stuff like that, but it disappears and it goes straight to red, but it still keeps this really cool variegated color to it. This is a Trinidad Scorpion here. It's got, I think it's got a pun. Let's see right here. It's the original plant that we were getting our genetics from. It's really nice. It grows well. And then I've got only got a couple reapers started. This is a Carolina Reaper that was overwintered from last year, and these are really wicked. I mean, let's see if I can get a focus on that. Yeah, it's like pretty serious. Good flavor. And down here, this is supposed to be a black bootla. It's pretty cool pod, but it's not like turning black or anything like that. It's just kind of a gnarly looking pod. Then we got some ornamental short stuff back here. I had a little open space in the garden, so I added my couple of pots. It's got some, this is my BVG7 plant, which is really needs to flower. I need to get some peppers off it, but this plant's huge. And in a pot next to it, I've got, this is a Habanero, which is like a Habanero mixed with a Cherapita, and this has got another second plant in there with it. This is the other ghost that I got, and this one is not showing. Its peppers are not pointed towards the sky. These ones are hanging down, but so maybe that'll be more like a ghost. But it came from the same pepper, and I thought that like when a pepper gets pollinated, I thought that all those seeds would be the same, but it depends what grain of pollen pollinated a certain part of the female part, and you could have each seed will be genetically different, which, I mean, it's the same way it works with us. And my brother has its subtle differences with me, as does each seed to another. So once you stabilize and you can keep those bugs from pollinating, then you can actually have a variety that will give you exactly what you want every time you grow it. Now we'll move on to the back garden. Alright, here is the back garden. This is like a tie. This is an odd one. This comes from the Black Pearl, which is supposed to be black, but it's only got a couple peppers on it now. But these ones down here, this one, it's growing upright, but it's kind of like, it's way bigger. It's not completely round, almost like a bell lobe on the end or something. And it's got like one more up here. But what's cool about it, and I hope it does this more, is it's got like this black striping right here. And maybe that's just a little bit of the black foliage coming in. I don't know if you can see it now, but the flower here actually still shows a little purple on it. And then here was another odd one, which this was sourced from the same seed as this one. So this one would have been like a pure brand, and then this one might be mixed with something else. So I can separate the seeds from these peppers, and maybe if I like them, I can grow them out again. But just give you an overall picture of it here. Everything's growing excellent in this garden too, with very little, actually this one's getting no ants on it, as far as like, they're not farming stuff on the plants like the other garden. But I don't have problems. Grasshoppers, they'll hop around on them, but they take a bite of the plant and then they're like, too much fiber or something, I don't know. So moving into this, you can't really tell the difference besides leaf size maybe, but this is like a bunch of different types of habaneros in here. And above that, in this area here, this is all Carolina Reaper. And then behind that, I have some Bacatum varieties here. And moving on, down here, this is the habanero that's coming out with smaller ones, but these are the type that have no heat at all. And I mean, it's pretty prolific. Maybe it got crossed in the field of at Britt's farm. And here's the peach habanero. Like I said, these things are really light colored. They go from like a green to, honestly, this is probably a white right now almost. And this is another single Reaper plant here. The Reapers are they're huge, but they really need to set on soon. I should get a big harvest at the end if they start. And this is an overwintered Rico plant, which is, once again, I mean, it's pretty loaded down. I don't know if you can see them all. And then I've got poblano here, which it did get hit by a tobacco hornworm, and it destroyed a little section of it, but it'll come back. And then over here, I have two, you can't even hardly tell, but I have two grafted plants. And on each plant, there's at least 5 to 7 different grafts onto one. Oh, well, there's two rootstocks. There's a plant there and a plant there, and each one has like 5 branches coming off, like different kinds. 5 different on this. The only way you can really tell right now is the multiple leaf shapes that we have in colors. Like the poblano, that's a different plant. It's all dark right here, but I mean, all the different leaf shapes. I mean, there's, like I said, there's probably 12 different types in here. I mean, it's not as vigorous as if you grew a plant by itself, I think, but it's pretty cool little experiment I had. Well, that's basically it. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. Just know that you do not need to use pesticides and fertilizer if you can get your soil right. Have a good day.